Accounts of gods and deities descending from the heavens in Sumerian texts. In numerous Sumerian texts, there are vivid descriptions of gods and deities descending from the heavens to interact with humanity. These divine beings are often depicted as powerful and otherworldly figures, possessing advanced knowledge and abilities beyond those of mortals. One of the most prominent examples is the Sumerian creation myth, which features the god Enlil descending from the heavens to separate heaven and earth and establish order in the universe. Similarly, the god Marduk is described as ascending to the heavens to battle the chaos monster Tiamat and establish his reign over the cosmos. In addition to creation myths, Sumerian texts also contain accounts of gods descending to earth to communicate with humans, impart wisdom, or intervene in human affairs. For instance, the god Enki is depicted as descending from the heavens to instruct humanity in various arts and sciences, including agriculture, craftsmanship, and writing. These accounts of gods descending from the heavens are often interpreted within the context of the ancient astronaut theory, which suggests that these divine beings may have been extraterrestrial visitors who imparted knowledge and guidance to early human civilizations. Proponents of this theory point to the advanced knowledge and technology attributed to these gods in Sumerian texts as evidence of their extraterrestrial origins. However, skeptics argue that these accounts are purely mythological and symbolic in nature, reflecting the religious beliefs and cultural practices of ancient Sumerians, rather than actual encounters with extraterrestrial beings. They suggest that the gods described in Sumerian texts are anthropomorphic representations of natural forces or abstract concepts, rather than literal beings from another world. Regardless of interpretation, the accounts of gods descending from the heavens in Sumerian texts continue to intrigue scholars and enthusiasts alike, prompting ongoing debate and speculation about their true meaning and significance in the context of human history.
In a speculative scenario where the Anunnaki have clandestinely orchestrated human affairs since ancient times, potentially creating a simulated reality akin to a matrix, profound implications emerge that could reshape the very fabric of human existence. Central to this speculation is the notion of absolute control and manipulation wielded by the Anunnaki over world affairs. With their purported advanced technology and knowledge, they could covertly influence economies, governments, and individual lives, operating beyond the awareness of humanity. The implications ripple through various facets of human civilization. Religions worldwide would undergo a seismic shift in interpretation, with ancient gods like the Anunnaki viewed as real entities with immense power rather than mere mythological figures. Such revelations could challenge established religious doctrines and prompt profound theological introspection. Moreover, the revelation of humanity living within a simulated reality created by extraterrestrial beings would trigger a global existential crisis. People would grapple with fundamental questions about the nature of reality, the meaning of existence, and the extent of their own autonomy. This could lead to widespread philosophical and psychological upheaval. The scenario also raises questions about technological advancement. If the Anunnaki have guided human civilization, sudden leaps in technological progress throughout history could be attributed to their intervention. This could accelerate scientific development, but also raise concerns about the ethical implications of technology controlled by extraterrestrial forces. In the face of Anunnaki control, resistance movements might emerge globally, seeking to overthrow their dominion and reclaim human autonomy. This could spark a global power struggle between those who wish to maintain the status quo and those who strive for liberation from extraterrestrial manipulation. Ethical dilemmas would abound as humanity confronts the possibility of being mere pawns in a cosmic game. Individuals and societies would grapple with questions of free will, personal agency, and the nature of morality in a world where reality may be illusory. Scientific exploration would take on new urgency, as humanity seeks to uncover the truth about the Anunnaki and the simulated reality in which we reside. Scholars from various disciplines would dedicate themselves to unraveling the mysteries of our existence and understanding the mechanisms behind the simulation. Culturally, art, literature, and folklore would be re-evaluated through the lens of extraterrestrial influence. Myths and legends from around the world would be reconsidered as potential reflections of interactions with the Anunnaki and other advanced beings. In sum, the revelation of Anunnaki control and the existence of a simulated reality would herald a paradigm shift in human history. It would mark the beginning of a new era characterized by exploration, discovery, and profound existential inquiry as humanity grapples with its place in a universe shaped by extraterrestrial forces. The notion that ancient Sumerians were aliens and that the Anunnaki were scientists creating hybrids who have been present on Earth for millennia is a fascinating and provocative concept that has captured the imaginations of many. According to this hypothesis, the Anunnaki, a race of extraterrestrial beings mentioned in Sumerian texts, arrived on Earth in ancient times and played a pivotal role in shaping human civilization. The Sumerians, often considered one of the world's earliest civilizations, left behind a wealth of texts and artifacts that hint at advanced knowledge and technology beyond their time. Proponents of the ancient Sumerians being aliens argue that their achievements, such as the development of writing, mathematics, and astronomy, could not have been accomplished without outside influence. Central to this narrative is the idea that the Anunnaki genetically engineered humans to serve as a labor force, perhaps for purposes such as mining gold or other resources. This echoes stories from Sumerian mythology, such as the creation of humans from clay and divine blood by the gods. The connection between the Anunnaki and other mythological beings, such as reptilians or serpent-like creatures, is also a significant aspect of this hypothesis. Some believe that the Anunnaki may have been associated with reptilian beings, often depicted as serpent-like entities in various mythologies around the world. For example, the Naga in Indian mythology and similar serpent beings in other cultures are seen as potential manifestations of the Anunnaki or other alien beings. Furthermore, proponents of this theory often tie the Illuminati, a purported secret society believed by some to control world events, into the narrative. According to some interpretations, the Illuminati are descendants or collaborators of the Anunnaki, wielding power and influence over human affairs for centuries. While this hypothesis remains speculative and controversial, it offers a thought-provoking lens through which to re-examine ancient history and mythology. By exploring the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on human civilization, it challenges conventional narratives and encourages us to reconsider our understanding of the past. In conclusion, the idea that ancient Sumerians were aliens and that the Anunnaki were scientists creating hybrids opens up a vast realm of possibilities and questions about the origins of humanity and our place in the cosmos. While it may stretch the boundaries of conventional scholarship, it invites us to explore the mysteries of our ancient past with curiosity and imagination. Please subscribe if you enjoyed our video and don't forget to hit the bell icon for future episodes.
We're going to go through a sequence of things that I've been keeping track of, and I'll explain to you as we go through. I just want you guys to really enjoy this and to really, if you're into UFOs and you're into alien beings, the fact that aliens are out there and you suspect it maybe, whatever the case is, if you're interested, this will be very enlightening for you. I can promise you that. So without further ado, I always hear people say that, and I hate saying it, but I just did, because it sounds so perfect for that moment. Without further ado, let's go.
After being a sixth grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat." Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapons system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare.
Everything that she's mentioning, guys, I mean, this is serious. That's we've gone through all these things. We're down to that last straw, I think. You know, everything that she mentioned, that Dr. Wernher von Braun mentioned on his deathbed, but she said he mentioned it all throughout their time together, working as an assistant to Dr. Wernher von Braun. So that means she has to have some scientific background. I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Carol Rosen for a reason. So guys, this is May 9th, 2001. That's only a few months away from 9/11 when the World Trade Center attacks happened. Just think about how coincidental and strange this is. But listen closely. Listen to how crazy this is.
Fair that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant, and I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapons system, and he told me back then that they didn't. He said, go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy. I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat. And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen, because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, you will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin, because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have...
Guys, space-based weapons. So Dr. Wernher von Braun, I want you to understand this. Wernher von Braun was telling Dr. Carl Rosen that they're going to find an enemy that's going to give them the reason to build these space-based weapons. You guys have heard about this whole Space Force and all this stuff, right? There was also back a long time ago, back in the 80s, where I believe it was Ronald Reagan who talked about the Star Wars defense system that they were talking about back then. Basically, the Star Wars defense system would be a lot of lasers up in space, positioned in such a fashion, I believe, that it would form a grid pattern. So if any ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which Wernher von Braun helped create, if any of those would fly through going into our area, they would be able, in a grid pattern, to shoot them down, or as many as they could. Most likely one or two would get through, even if they shot quite a bit, one or two would get through. But to lessen the damage that we would take, that was supposedly the reason they wanted the Star Wars system. I don't know if that ever went through, but I believe that we have probably something up there, most likely. Because there's another video I have to find it. You guys see it and you're going to be blown away. And the technology we have now is just off the charts. But what she's saying here is so vital. And remember, this is May 9th, 2001. This is only literally, what is it, May, June, July, August, September, November, December, right? And then you have, not only 6 months. I'm sorry. It's going about like a month and a half before 9/11. So a year and a half. I'm sorry, I said a month and a half. Sorry, guys, I haven't slept. But it's about a year and a half before 9/11. But just think about how strange that is, because there's something there that ties this together. There's a connection, and we're going to find it.
Have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie. And we have witnesses here today that have shown you that these extraterrestrial beings, that these craft that have come here are now not UFOs, they're identified flying objects. And we know that they have beings in them. And we have witnesses here who have told you that they can shut down our missile silos. They can stop a rocket going into space that's a test. We have witnesses here who have worked in the classified departments who have the courage to come forward here to support what Wernher von Braun told me back in 1974 to 77. And I will testify before the Congress that when I founded the Institute for Security and Cooperation in Outer Space, which I shut down a few years ago because I didn't believe we had a chance with this huge, integrated around the world, complex weapon system, that we had any chance at all of transforming that war industry into a space industry that could provide benefits, like Dr. Greer has said, of global warming. We can end that situation of that problem. We can end the energy crisis. We can build now non-polluting technologies. Wernher von Braun used to tell me that we could have cars back then that drove around off the ground. He described this to me on beams so that we have no pollution on this planet. And we can solve the problems of the people that are urgent and potential, and the other animals and the other cultures on Earth and in space. And we can end the arms race without dislocating the industry jobs, without disrupting the economy, by transforming, Wernher von Braun told me, the war industry into a global cooperative space industry that will provide, he said, finally, more jobs and profits on this planet than during any hot or cold wartime, more products and services that can be applied directly to solving the problems of this planet. And we can have a whole planet now that lives in peace on Earth, with all the cultures on Earth and with all the extraterrestrial cultures in space. And these are words that Wernher von Braun told me in 1974, and I will testify before the Congress under oath about everything I have said and more.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Ravshiva, the spiritual philanthropist. So, hey, guys, I know you noticed the new logo that I have. Because I love the Sumerians so much, I just wanted to have that with the chakras down the middle, because it stands for something I call the Wandering Avatars, something I created a long time ago that represents people just like myself. We exhibit strange abilities. Since I was a kid, I've had this. And I find out now they have other people just like me that they call star children. Of course, I'm an adult, so I must be a star adult. Or adult star. So, let's go back and let's check this out. I found this video on News Nation, and this stuff fascinates me ever since. I've had experiences when I was a kid, very strong experiences, that thank God there was such a thing as physics and science to help me actually understand what may have happened when I was growing up, when I was younger, to help me to understand that I'm not crazy, that this happens to other people as well. And I'm glad now they're having inclusion in this and showing more people of color, which is a big thing for me. So I'm very happy about that as well. I get to share my story with you guys as well. So let's go over here and we're going to take a look at this video now and see what it is that's going on.
That they cannot understand this, because when they released the body cam video from the October 17th massacre, 2017 massacre, what they do is, if there's something that they don't want you to see, they'll blur it out. But there's no reason why they couldn't have blurred out whatever they don't want you to see. Say if there was something in the back of the family's yard that the family didn't want to be seen, the audio should have been running. In this case, everything is blocked out. So we don't know the conversation between the police officer in the backyard and Angel. We don't know what they were looking at.
Angel's the young man. So I want to be clear for our audience. He's the young teenager who called 911 and was the primary observer, witness of.
I'm actually glad she said that, because I'm thinking, wait a second, at first I thought there's angels involved now, not just aliens. She did a great job there.
Although other members of his family said they saw it too. Why do you suppose then that the Las Vegas Metro Police did that? Redacted 16 full minutes, went to complete silence and black for 16 minutes. And do you think they'll reverse course to just try to put an end to all the speculation?
Well,
the first word that comes to mind is suppression tactics. And this is something that's been used by people that have power. If they don't want information getting to anyone, they suppress it in every which way they can. it's a very smart tactic if you're trying to hide the truth or trying to hide your, like whatever it is that you don't want people to know.
Obviously, it's redacted both on audio and video because there's obviously something they don't want us to see and something to hear. Now, my sources told me that immediately after this incident, a Las Vegas...
My sources told me that ragu sauce is... I'm sorry, guys. The accent is killing me. But I'm glad that he's like this because he seems very like a legit type of dude. He's not like one of those flashy guys that are like, let me tell you. He's like a down-to-earth, real type of person. Let's hear what he has to say. Let me shut up.
Vegas Metro Police Department detective who he works with the gangs or something. He's an IT expert. My sources said he was immediately called in, and the speculation is that something was either deleted or changed in the record system, whether it was a body camera or a dispatch system, we don't know, because he's not even talking to his friends. I got his name, but I'm not going to mention it. So that came from reliable sources within Metro.
I've got 10 seconds left. Is there anything that can convince you that this is true at this point in this investigation?
I don't think I said this last night. I don't believe the family's lying. I believe they're telling the truth. They believe they saw something. As far as what the Metro Police are doing, they have a pattern and practice of cover-ups and lies over the years. So now this is almost 4 weeks. It's over a month now since this thing happened. Now they're starting to put out press releases and stuff, but they haven't put out press releases, given a verbal statement. I don't trust anything right now. The timeline doesn't fit with these cameras. They put them in on the 19th, and I was told that the only way they knew about it, the undersheriff, was my podcast. And then they were pulled out 2 or 3 days later. Well, if they were concerned for the family's safety, why did they pull them out?
Right.
And why did they put them back in now since there's people over at the house?
And because the speculation is growing and there may be more looky-loos. Makes perfect sense. Doug Papa, thanks so much for being on again. Really appreciate it.
Wow, that's interesting, man. To see this stuff on all the news stations is really fascinating to me. Like, there's a lot of people talking about it. It's created a buzz. Everybody's like trying to figure out. And, of all the places, I'm probably going to do because I do cartoons, right? So I'm probably going to do a cartoon about these guys, these aliens trying to go to Atlantic City to, gamble. And they end up somehow getting blown out of the sky or something happened. And ended up landing, going to these people's backyard. And now that, now they're America's most sought after aliens or whatever. The whole thing is kind of funny in some ways, but at the same time, I was thinking about this, and I said in my other videos that David Grush, if you haven't heard of him yet, he's an intelligence officer that worked with the United States military. When he came out and said that, yeah, we have UFOs, and we've had them for a while, and God knows how many. He says quite a bit, and they've been trying to reverse engineer them. I believe that's where Windows and Apple and all that great stuff that we have now comes from, is the reverse engineered technology from these UFOs. Probably, like if you've seen my other videos where Phil Schneider talks about his experiences, he's the one that helped build the underground bases for the military, and he talks about the corpses of these spaceships and these, not just the corpses, but the actual aliens themselves. Their biology could cause us to get sick, cause viruses, and I believe that was a very interesting statement that he made. It's plausible to the situation because one of the things that they do, you have to go through a quarantine, and then they have to go and basically purify you. It's like make sure you don't have anything in your biology that could be dangerous to us here on Earth when you come back from space. The astronauts have to go through this. So, this all leads to something, because why would David Grush all of a sudden come out of the woodworks and talk about this right after we see this videos? And I also did some enhancement on these on some of the stills that I took from the videos, and they're popping pretty hard on TikTok and Facebook and on YouTube, because if you see what I did, some enhancements, I really took like about an hour and a half worth of just sitting there and messing with the different metrics on image, and just trying to get everything to where I could see something. And I was able to get these. I'll just show it to you. You're gonna freak out when you see it. I'm not even kidding. It's so strange. Like even when I look at it, can't believe some of the things that I'm seeing. But let me find it for you, and we're gonna watch that next. But first, let me show you this other video, which I think would be interesting for us to watch as well. Let's check this out.
Across the sky in Las Vegas still has many people questioning what really was it. A local family claims they had an alleged alien encounter just minutes after that light crossed the sky. But as David Charnes explains, there could be a possible explanation.
I think I know what it is. I think that because this is the Pride Month, that there are probably aliens out there that celebrate Pride. And no, I'm just kidding, guys. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm just being stupid. Let's see.
They got some really nice footage on that.
New video shared with the 8 News Now investigators shows something streaking through the sky on April 30th.
Oh, I'm so nervous right now. I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
The fireball sparked a call to 911 about aliens in a Northwest Valley backyard and this response from Metro Police.
What did you see in that video?
When we do get a good fireball like that, oh, it excites the scientists so much.
Andrew Kerr is the planetarium manager at the College of Southern Nevada. He says there's no doubt that streak in the sky, seen from California to Utah, was a rock.
It was almost assuredly a meteor. We're probably talking, based on how bright that was in the video, it could have still been about the size of a small car.
Kerr says it's highly...
Okay, if that was the size of a small car, just using the laws of physics, the explosion or the impact would have left a huge crater. It was too low to just blow up in the sky unless somebody blew it out of the sky. Look how close it is. I mean, you're talking about it's close to the ground here at this point, like almost close to tree level. You know, I would say maybe probably, higher than that, but at the same time, maybe 100 yards, 200 yards up and fast descending very fast. If this thing was the size of a car, at whatever speed that it was going, it looked like it was going pretty goddamn fast, actually. I think that you would have had a crater, an impact crater, and you also would have had a shockwave that would have really, you would have seen that shockwave, and I don't know if the Ring camera, I don't know how far away it was from that footage to actually know what that impact was. I'm sure that the reason that in the last video where that guy said that all the cameras were confiscated, now the people themselves aren't speaking to anyone. They've disappeared. Nobody knows where they're at. Most likely the government has them and telling them, hey guys, the men in black are sitting right there with them and shining that pen right in their, in the movie there, they shine that pen in their eyes, and they're going to come back and say, we didn't see anything. Oh, it was just a joke. It was a hoax. You know something is up if that happens. But let's see.
Unlikely the meteor landed anywhere in the valley.
I would say that the meteor was coincidental to the rest of the everything that went on that evening.
But he's not discounting the rest of the story, yet at least.
You just kind of have to wonder, maybe. I am fully certain that there has to be life out there in the universe. Have we found it yet? No.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
When people say, have we found it yet? And they go to this whole thing, drives me crazy because it's not that we're trying to, that we have more capability of let's say if there is other life out there, right? Do you think really that they're going to just come and just show themselves, hey guys, we're right over in that star over there. We just want to come down here and hang out for a bit, go gamble a little bit, hang out. I hope it's okay with you guys on Earth. Doubt it. I really doubt it. So when people come up with these, I want to use this old term, cockamamie crap, and start to discount or just try to disprove something, basically make it invalidate it, totally invalidate it, and try to make it look like a hoax or whatever the case is. There's too much science now to back up the possibility, and theoretical physics is moving so in that direction, and just the idea of that, just think of it like this. We're on the outskirts of the universe. Whatever other planets are out there, they've had millions, possibly billions of years of evolution ahead of us. Look where we're at in our evolution, supposedly between 6 and 19,000 years of human evolution. I'm going biblical to science. That's why I said 6 to 19. Whoever believes in what, that's why I did that. So I use both. But, given that idea of the time span of evolution compared to millions or billions of years of the time to evolve. There's plenty to say here. There's plenty of things that could happen, that could have happened, that will happen. I mean, so you can't discount these ideas, man. But I want to show you a video on my TikTok. It's my video, actually. So, just so you know, it's my video. This it's called Enter the Spiritual Philanthropist, or the Spiritual Philanthropist, or Enter TSP. But I may be changing that soon, guys. Okay, it's a much better name that's more suiting. So I'm still finding that, guys. Please forgive me for that. But check this out. This is the work I did. Now watch. That's a regular one. Now see that right there? Did you guys see that? Look, watch. This is after I did all these enhancements, okay? Look at that. Can you see that? Look how tall that one is. You see a head here and a head here. They're both very tall. And there's some kind of like weird thing here. Because remember they said that every time they were looking at them, they look kind of blurry? Well, that could be this distortion that's around here. But you can see, look how long the arms are. Look, the arms are very long. These look monstrous. See these guys where they're standing, and those things, their heads are that high. They're very tall. This is my own, stills that I worked on from that first one, from this one this one that they gave here. Let me show you this original one. So I kind of went in and did some tweaking with some of the image specifications and found some really interesting stuff. But let's take a look. This is the next one. Watch. Now, if you can see this right here, is that one head here, and the other one was somewhere here. I just couldn't get it to focus. So I just focused on this head here, which you can see the eyes, the nose, and this big-ass mouth. And then you can see the arms. Look at the size and the hands down here. Look, you talk about some big, long-armed individual. But these are stills in different moments, as you'll see. It's not the same moment. I had to pause the video and take a picture, pause the video and take a screenshot. So that's why they're in different positions. They're moving, obviously. So let's look. Now this right here, you can see I kind of drew out after it moved into another position. You probably can't see well how I was able to see that, but I could see it. I knew these were hands because look, see the fingers right there, and the really long thumbs, just like this one, and it's just coming straight out. Those were there. I didn't do that. These lines here, I put that there. Those little dark blue lines are mine. Everything else is just what you see, man. Look, the eyes, the nose, and like I said, look what this guy's head is. If he's an average 5'8", 5'9", you're talking about if he went up to this guy, he would only hit probably up to here on this guy, maybe here or here somewhere. And you're talking about this guy still another half a torso, an entire torso and head above him. You're talking about it got to be close to 10 feet tall aliens. I mean, if this is in fact true, but this was my, I had to use this it's called Pixel or something like that. Pixeler. That's what I used. Guys, so I hope that you enjoyed that and you appreciated the work that I did on that video for these Las Vegas aliens. I hope that you guys, get a good look at these things. And like I said, it took me over an hour to do this work. I'm going to keep trying to do as much as I can and try to figure out what's going on here and try to get every little bit of information I can. And I'll bring it to you guys. As soon as I get it, it's going to get put up. All right, guys. We'll see you hopefully all in the next video. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like what I do. And I have a meetup on Zoom coming up. It's called The Wandering Avatars. The Wandering Avatars. That's what this symbol is going to be in the future. So I'm going to move from the Spiritual Philanthropist. It'll still be me, but the actual brand will be the Wandering Avatars guy. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Please share, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. And man, I can't wait till I actually see something really seriously, like we get to hear them on the news talking or something like that. It'd be great. All right, guys. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Ravshiva, the spiritual philanthropist. So I just wanted to, if you guys saw earlier, I was trying to get things together. Also, I don't have my background. If you look back here, I don't have my actual setup, how I usually do with a green screen. I just moved into a new place, so I'm trying to get everything together and organize it well. But aside from that, you remember that if you watch my videos, you know that I have plenty of dreams. The last recent dream that I had, which I'll find here and I'll show it to you, it was also posted on Facebook, which Facebook actually pretty much, I would say, censors a lot of the stuff that I put up, guys. They do it because I'm sure they don't want people to know that I have this ability. It's really strange. But here, if you look here, you'll see April 29th, there will be a great flood of the east coast of America, right? And then as I scroll down here, you'll see I made videos about them not showing it. East Coast flooding. My prediction, they put West Coast, I put East Coast flooding, and this is where I put the actual thing. But look at the I have almost 100,000 people. Only I like it, and I made one comment. This is to show you what they do. This is when they actually showed on the news how bad the flooding was here in the East Coast. I put another prediction comes true. And you can see here, I'm sure they're probably censoring me here on YouTube as well. If the United States Department of Defense is watching me, then most likely everybody else is watching. But I think they should be more interested in what I can do and try, instead of trying to make me look like something, that's dangerous in some way. It's a real thing. It's been around forever. I'm just one of those people that are pretty damn good at it, obviously. And I wrote 5 days ago, here comes the storm. I have seen it, and it is human nature. In essence, my people will be safe, but everyone in New York City and boroughs will be vulnerable to the power and incentive of the storm unless you know my words and have forgiveness and compassion in your heart. Okay, so I write all these things here. And there's a whole bunch of, when the, the fire in the sky is one of the ones I wrote, forecasted or predicted as well. And that also, and the earthquake right before that in Turkey, I predicted it. I said 100% I know there's going to be a huge earthquake. And like usual, it did happen that way. And, if this was anybody else with the accuracy that I have, there would be news broadcasts about how accurate I am. But I think what they're trying to do now is people like me, they're trying to keep us silent and use us in ways. They know how to stimulate us now through social media and other ways of stimulating us. They know when we get emotionally disturbed, we fall into a place which is a safe haven for us, people like myself. I call myself a wandering avatar because I exhibit some of the things that an avatar does, not everything. There are people out there that can do a hell of a lot more than I can, but I'm one of those people. I even carry a gene that makes me immune to AIDS and HIV. I have full, immunity to it. Full resistance. I'm one of the very few people on the planet. Less than 1% of us have it. I thought I'd get rid of that sound when I left the city in New York. It seems to follow me everywhere I go, the sound. It's horrible. But, yeah, guys, these things are real. I'm trying to get some other information to show you guys how real it actually is, but I'm having a hard time getting it from certain places. And people are denying it, and then there's video footage missing and things like that. I don't know why they're doing that, but they won't give it to me, and they're making excuses for me to get access to it. But the reason I say that we're being studied is on more than one occasion I've had dreams where they've put me in situations where I wouldn't put myself in that situation, and it was, I could see the entities that were there watching me closely as if they were observing me in each and every instance, and they did horrible things, just to see how I would react. My reaction always is to stay calm, no matter what the situation is. And one of the things I found out is that if you call on any of the names of God, any of them, it doesn't matter which one, any of the names of God seem to work to fend off whatever this is in that place. When you go to sleep, you're not just doing anything. There's not just nonsense going on. You're susceptible and vulnerable for other entities that are maybe higher evolved intelligent beings that have the technology to get into your mind, which with the technology that we have today with Neuralink and other things that can read your dreams, you can see that we're just, not that far away from what I'm talking about. Social media, I believe, was created for a reason, to be able to study the entire human race, and not just study it. They have algorithms out there now that can, it's like, just picture the consciousness like an ocean. They can push the current in any direction that they want, and people will follow because it's just what we do, most of us. Some of us make our own currents. The ones that make our own currents, they don't like that because they like to control the currents, like the currency. So I know it sounded dumb, but that's just the truth. It really is the truth. And people like myself are dangerous to the establishment because of the ability to foresee and predict the future faster than a computer. Not even a quantum computer can beat me in this situation. And I know that, and they know that. I'm going to come out with something even more powerful that they'll never know how I got the information. I go into deep states of meditation. I can see everything. I can get numbers that I want to from these things. I can get any bits of information that I need. And I just realize now more and more how important that is. Information is the future. Everything is information. And if you can unlock information without using technology, then you'd be like a god here on earth. So, not saying that I am, but there are people out there just like me, many others, that have the ability, I think, to be able to do what I do, maybe not at the same level. My younger brother made a joke about me being Professor Xavier because, I did have my neck surgery, if you can see the scars there. And, it's become much more difficult for me to do things, but I rely solely on my spirit for everything, and I have no fear of anything or anyone on this plane of existence. I know that they all fear the same thing that everyone else does, and I don't believe that in this life, if you still believe in the idea of life and death, and you're limited in the way you think if that's what you believe, and I think there's a lot of people that have that belief, there are so many things out there, and we're just breaking the surface of what's happening out in the world. I was, I did a lot of videos on the Las Vegas aliens, and that was very interesting to me, the Las Vegas aliens, because they sound like the Anunnaki. They were like 10 feet tall giants that came here in a ship that, crash landed. So you have to think about that. If a ship crash landed, here on the planet, and it came from another solar system, right? From another galaxy, or even who knows where exactly this thing came from. Wherever it came from, it's still scary to think that they are susceptible to crashing here on this planet. Okay. If you have all that technology and you've come light years here, what on this planet can make you have a wreck, And basically, let me turn some of this air towards me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like some of the things that they say, I do believe that there definitely are other life forces out there, other intelligence out there. But some of the things that they're doing now is ridiculous. They want to block out the sun. Did you guys know that? They want to block out the sun. Now, if that's not alien enough, what if these things come from a place where they can't survive in the sun, but all the rest of us, every creature on this planet, every plant on this planet, every living thing here, majority of it needs the sun. If you block out the sun, the importance, the significance that it has to every living thing on this planet, it'll deplete us. It'll kill us in a very volatile way. And I think maybe, if you wanted to destroy the living things on this planet, block out the sun. It's easier than going to war. Block out the sun, because every living thing will die. So if, people aren't using their brains, they're not seeing that the weather patterns are changing. They're not seeing that human beings are changing. You guys have forgotten some of the ancient ways. In the ancient times, there were people like me. They were called oracles. They were able to see into the future and to do certain. I can do more than just see into the future, but those are one of the things that there were people like that had that ability. Were called oracles. There are so many things that science has to offer, and I don't believe that science is a bad thing, because I love physics, and I just had to take out of time. I had gotten accepted into City Tech for a computational physics degree, and when my neck was broken and stuff, I had to take out like 2 years with COVID and everything else happening. 2 or 3 years, about 3 years now, and I wasn't able to go back, but I'm going to get back in now and finish my degree in physics. The reason that I'm taking physics is I find that when I get into these places that I have these experiences, I no longer have to be so afraid of what I'm experiencing. The last one that I had, where I was in some place where I jumped in the air knowing that my body felt lighter, and I started floating upwards and came right back down in front of this person. And she looked at me, and I looked at her and I said, I didn't mean to scare you, not knowing if she knew I could do that. And she goes, no, you didn't scare me. She goes, it's normal. She goes, when you're off world, you can do that. And it kind of stunned me. I said, off world. And then I started looking around, and I realized I was in this big, huge, like place, like ship, and you can see there were transparent parts where you could see out to the stars. And then when I woke up and I had looked up the term off world, it means you're not on Earth anymore, or could be any planet, and people think that we need these bodies to travel, but for ancient times, I'm a big practitioner of yoga since I was 9 years old. I was born into it in a sense, and I've developed my practice over the years. It's my most preferred thing to do, is to be in a state of meditation. And when you realize that the body is just a biological suit, it's a biological outfit that we wear, whatever brings us, whatever our lives are, whatever gives us that energy, that manifestation of life, they call it God. Some people call it a spark of intelligence. They all try to use all kinds of weird things to say. I don't know what to call it. The only thing I can think of is the ancient terms, prana. And prana is the life force that runs through the air, which the entire planet is composed of as well. And everything works in an ecosystem, all right? All of us work together in this giant ecosystem. And if you look at that just logically alone, this again is why I love studying physics, because it shows how the ecosystem works outside of us and inside of us, and inside of everything and outside of everything. It shows how amazing the ecosystem is, and that is why all of the people, the astronomers and the scientists and the physicists and astrophysicists, everybody's looking, and especially the industrial military complex of any country, they're going to want to know if there's another Earth-like planet, an M-class planet. What do I mean by M-class planet? It's the Goldilocks zone. It's in the correct position, distance from a sun that gives it the ability to have life, to support life. That's the M-class planet, the Goldilocks zone. Okay? So if they ever find a Goldilocks zone planet, an M-class planet, most likely, if we all have the ability to get into space, most likely what's happening right now, we must have found something. And I think that's why the entire world is starting to do so many of the things that it's doing. That's why Elon Musk and all these other people are trying to get out to Mars. Maybe Mars has more than what they tell us. And Mars is very, very similar to us. I believe it's very close to the Goldilocks zone, and there probably is a lot less work to do than if you were to try to go on one of the exterior planets further out. And you can't go further or closer to the sun because the heat would be so intense. So if Mars is indeed what I think it is, no wonder that Putin is trying to destroy Ukraine and start a war, and China and Japan and Korea, North Korea, and all these other countries are up in arms because most likely, and they want to blot out the sun and all this other BS that they want to do. Something really is strange, something really strange is going on. And there's so many things about UFOs. We have a Space Force, when did that happen? We have a Space Force. We have so many things that are happening. Guys, I'm telling you, there are other people talking about this, but the deeper I get into this and the more I start to study it, I don't need technology to figure it out. The images come into my mind. They know that. I'm going to pretty soon isolate some really, really good images and draw them out for you. And only certain people will know what those images mean. And most likely they'll have to take me more seriously at that point when I show them what they're trying to hide. Okay? I'm working on that next. I realize that I have access to certain things that so many people can't get access to. There's no technology on Earth that can do what I do. And there are other people on the planet. Thank God. I don't know who they are. I would never say who they are. But they're probably in the mountains of the Himalayas, somewhere in those big jungles. And they stay hidden from society for a reason. I'll tell you what, if we were to get invaded by another species, humankind, would not be able to fend off a more powerful, more intelligent life form, species. The only defense we would have is a spiritual defense, and that would be with the entire population of holy men, real holy men, the real old sages that know the ancient wisdom, that know how to fight without the physical. They can fight from the spiritual. They would be our only true defense in any type of situation like this. And I think that's what's also preventing us right now from being invaded. Everybody wonders why are we, if they're here, why didn't they invade? The only thing I can think of is that something is protecting us. I know that there is a God. I definitely know that. But I know that there are other types of beings here as well. And every Bible says it. If people want to deny the realities that exist, that's fine. But don't try and distort, or taint them with manipulative ideology just to fit your own selfish agendas. When I put out my information, I do not associate a specific ideology or label or anything like that with it. I put it out there as information that I've gotten. I'm giving to you. You guys can assemble it in the way that you can. Everybody is going to do that in their own way. Not everybody has the same perspective and the ability to understand the same things, but I'm going to put it out there in a way, hopefully that'll be universal. And of course, we're always going to have naysayers. We're always going to have people that are always talk crap. It's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. The nature of the beast is confusion, delusion, megalomaniac, trying to control everything and everyone, almost to the level of being a Nazi. They don't even realize it. There's a lot of religions that have the same way of or pattern of behavior. You look at the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, even some Hindus. At some point, they get to the point where they're like Nazis. It's either this way or it's not. And once you get to that place, you've lost the entire purpose of what God really tried to explain to us. There's so many different ways you can look at it. When Yeshua, the Christ, the kingdom of God is within. If the kingdom of God is within, that means he's telling you have to learn how to go within. In yoga, meditation is all about going within, taking yourself out of the world and going within. Isn't that interesting? Christ knew this. That was his way, his personal way of explaining the kingdom of God. And there's so many different ways of interpreting things, but when you look at it in the literal sense, what other way can you go inward? Tell me. We're consistently being bombarded on the from the outside, from all of our senses. Our emotions are being toyed with, especially on social media and news media outlets. They know how to push our buttons. They know how to make the current a certain strength, a certain wave. These are algorithms that they have now. They can control that. They realize that our senses. It's so interesting how this works. There's something called technology, which I love very much, and the science behind it. But the ancient people, the ancient great sages, great beings, great souls, all said, do not let yourself be tempted by the body and the senses, the flesh. And is it coincidental that everything about technology now is basically tempting your flesh in every which way you can think of? Some people will not see that, but it's as clear as day to me. You know, when I look at it, yes, we are being tempted on a huge scale. You know, what can we do about this? The only thing that we can do is to go inward, just as Christ, the Yeshua, the Christ, had said. Buddha, Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, he preached the same thing. Many of the greats, you know, preached this very same ideology, this very same method of dealing with the madness here in this world. These are things that I contemplate now, and I'm getting back into, you know, to finish my degree in physics, because I know that a lot of the things that I'm going to experience, you know, or the things that I do, I want to make sure and be able to write about it as well, you know, and to explain it in a way that even scientists won't be able to question it, you know. And even now, if I get questioned by certain things, I'm able to answer in my own way and to keep up with what's happening in the world of physics. And some of the people don't like that. They really don't like the fact that I can hang and stand with them on a certain level. I want to show you guys something real fast. If you look here, this is the book that I have right here. You can see it. The Code of Immortality, The Fallen Star. I wrote this, and this is, here you can see it here. An ancient artifact has been found, and reality as we know it will never be the same. The secret global government known elusively as the Illuminati has made every government go on a witch hunt to detect people from around the world that holds a specific biosignature, all in the hope to possess the Code of Immortality. All the while, alien assassins are tracking a being that possesses a special DNA sequence that can allow beings from another dimension to enter into Earth's realm. The saga begins. And if you read a sample of it, you'll see it here. Here's an actual sample of it. The Code of Immortality Fallen. So I wrote this as a screenplay, right, for a movie. You'll see it's written exactly like a movie. I'll be working on the actual drawings, the graphic part of the novel soon, and I'll put them together, and then I'll release it to everyone. Once, you know, it's going to take me a while. I'm doing this all on my own, guys. You know, so you can see here, I mean, it's really well written. This would be a great movie. You know, first of all, it would be an awesome movie. It's a movie that I would want to see, you know, and this is why I wrote it. So I hope you guys, you know, pay attention to some of the stuff that I do and look at it, and you'll see that there's a plethora of really cool stuff that I'm working on with all the things that I speak about. And I believe that these things are coming to me for a reason, you know. So like I said, here I'm always getting blocked. I'm always the algorithms work against me. And I know why they work against me, because they're so afraid that when I speak, people will listen. That's all it is. And I have a tendency to do that whenever I talk. But that's why I might have to just be out in public speaking in person. I think that might be go the old-fashioned route. You know, they can't stop that. They can play with it here, and they can do, you know, play with the algorithms and prevent me from being seen here, but not there. But guys, I'm going to leave you with that here, and I will be on again talking more about these subjects. I would love to hear your feedback, to hear what you guys have to say. All right. See you guys. Have a great night. Stay safe and keep a good attitude. Stay positive, man. All right. Talk to you guys. See you then. Hey guys, have I got something for you? Wait until you take a look at this. I'm not even kidding. It blows my mind when I see it. I am Ravshiva, the spiritual philanthropist, and I'm blown away by the Vegas aliens. And I'm not sure, and I'm praying that they're not using CGI here because it's very eerie and it's very scary at the same time. I'll show you, but let's take a look, okay, guys?
History, but they made a mention of a very mysterious race of creatures that have become known as the Archons. We don't really know what the Archons were or even are. What's interesting is that there is actually a depiction and a description of the Archons looking definitively reptilian.
They're very robot-like, very machine-like, and therefore very predictable. And given that you see the machine-like nature of so many reptilian animals and what have you in the human society, there is a correlation between the two and why the reptilian form is so
That's David Icke, by the way.
An expression of this machine-like, unemotional, computer-like mentality.
Is it possible?
Now, just really quick, guys, I want to show you something that I found, and I'm hoping that this is real, you know. I don't know if it is or not, but we'll see now. I want you to take a look at it for yourself. You tell me what it is that you see, and if we're seeing the same things. You know, like I don't know.
This footage on the security camera of a strange humanoid alien-like creature. The family investigates, armed to the teeth. The creature senses their presence. As it's aware of danger approaching, it lets out a sound. The residents have heard nothing like it before. Obviously, they are frightened. Here's a close-up of the creature. Very human-like in the face. You can literally see it blink. I did some video enhancements so you can see more details. Look how strong it looks. I bet you anything that he works out.
That's funny.
This is by far some of the best footage that we've ever seen.
But look at this.
Now we're going to show you footage from a different angle. You can really see the entire body here. And notice that it has a tail.
Look at the spine.
Long arms and legs, so it probably can run on all fours. But it also looks like it can stand upright as well. This is definitely a strange creature. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching.
Wow, I am totally blown
An Into the Bizarre
away,
exclusive.
This is just driving me crazy. Like the more I look at it, you guys have to like realize that we're in a predicament here right now. I don't think that people realize the situation we're here. If this is real, then all the militaries of the world, all the defense departments have to be very worried because look, on a technological level, they may have us beat because they can travel across the distances of the stars. But on a physical level, I think they have us beat too. Did you see that thing's neck? I mean, that thing's body and its spine, how it bends? I mean, most likely it's probably super fast when it moves and probably super strong. So if we were to get into any kind of engagement, combat-wise, I think it would destroy a human being within seconds. I mean, just like the reptiles do here on Earth, when we get into any entanglement with them, they can pretty much tear you to shreds because they're so strong. Their skin's usually very powerful as well. Guys, this is not some kind of accident here. Just take a look at one of the most ancient texts here from the Nag Hammadi. So they call it this is from Mesopotamian mythology, they say. So Anunnaki is a word which means from sky to earth. Anu is the supreme deity in the Sumerian belief system. Ki is the goddess of the earth. The offspring of Anu and Ki are called the Anunnaki. Interesting, right? Instead of thinking in terms of black and white, it is useful to realize that Anu and Ki should be thought of metaphorically as the people from the sky and the planet itself, respectively. The Anunnaki are then simply the children which Anu created on planet Ki. The Anunnaki were served by the Igigi until the Igigi revolted, forcing the Anunnaki to create mankind. These servants were not slaves, they were held in high regard, and they were created only to relieve the gods of their labor. In the beginning, mankind had no set lifespan, and so the gods could only control overpopulation via flood, plague, and famine, kind of like what's going on today. During the final deluge, the gods wept at the suffering of mankind, and so man was given a set lifespan. It is during this deluge that the Zisudra Noah survives with his wife on the ark. The story of the final flood can be found in AFTRA and the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's Sumerian text, guys. It's so interesting. Well, look at this thing. Look at this. You know, look how wild that is. This thing is something that they talked about from back at that time. You know, I mean, is it a coincidence that this looks eerily similar to this Anunnaki thing here? I mean, let's take a look at this.
And Into the Bizarre exclusive, we've received footage of the actual alien in Las Vegas. You're about to see the best footage on the internet. Family walks into the backyard. The neighbor catches this footage on the security camera of a strange humanoid alien-like creature. The family investigates, armed to the teeth. The creature senses their presence as it's aware of danger approaching. It lets out a sound. The residents have heard nothing like it before. Obviously, they are frightened. Here's a close-up of the creature. Very human-like in the face. You can literally see it blink. I did some video enhancements, so you can see more details. Look how strong it looks. I bet you anything that he works out. This is by far some of the best footage that we've ever seen. Okay. Now we're going to show you footage from a different angle. You can really see the entire body.
Did you guys see the spine, how it bends right here? Like right where the arrow is pointing here on the screen, the little button there. You can see in that area, somehow the spine can completely bend over, almost like I believe apes, primates can do this, I believe. But this is a reptile-looking thing.
Here. And notice that it has a tail. Long arms and legs, so it probably can run on all fours.
Look, if this is CGI or some computer graphic animation, I mean, they've done a great job.
But it also looks like it can stand upright as well. This is definitely a strange creature. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching.
I don't know what to think, man. This is hard because I do believe in these things, but sometimes they do things, you know, on social media just to get a rise out of people. But people like us that believe in these things. But guys, I'm going to leave you with that for now. I'll be back on later to talk a little bit more in depth about this because there is something going on. I don't know what it is exactly yet. It could be a false flag. It could be something actually real. I'm hoping that it is real so we can know exactly what goes on here, guys. But I'll see you guys in the next video when I put it up, okay? Have a great day. Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Ravshiva, the spiritual philanthropist. As you can see, I changed my logo. I'm kind of becoming more detailed and exactly what I want. Before, it was just me being angry or whatever else. But hey, guys, the real issue here today is not my logo. It is that there are aliens that have been around for the longest time, probably from the beginning in the of time, I would assume, like with some of the first beings that were here in planets as the universe formed. They're further more advanced than we are because of the time they may have had to develop evolution-wise. Archons are even mentioned in the Bible. That's why I call them Archons. If you look at the pictures and descriptions of the Archons, it's exactly that. You know, so it's interesting. That's the sun shining through back there, guys. I'm sorry about that. It's the Archons. What? No, I'm just kidding, guys. No, but on a serious note, this stuff does intrigue me very much. I'm very intrigued by it. I've been intrigued by this since I was a child because of the experiences I've had as well as a child with interdimensional beings and things like that. And in today's world, you know, it's very hard for anyone. I hate to say this, but it's true. If you come out and say that you have experiences like this, most people, the way they're trained to think, if you're not Caucasian, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Caucasian people are mostly accepted by saying this. All the rest of us have to kind of like be very careful what we say, you know. So I'm just saying it as it is, how I've experienced it. Only recently you see Billy Carson, the only black man I've ever seen in that area of UFOs. It's not because that he is the only black man in the world, black person in the world that's interested in it. It's because they've been isolated. They've been keeping themselves very exclusive for some reason, and that's changing now. People are starting to open up to the idea of allowing everybody to talk about it, which is nice, you know. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about inclusion, having inclusion, you know, people including people into things. But getting back over here to the Archons, now that I've clarified this point, you know, the more I study it, the more I look at it, it really does hit me pretty hard, because there's something to this, guys. There's really something to this. I really don't know exactly what it is or what to say, but if you look at it for what it is, you know, if you see here, look, ancient alien Archons, right? Ancient Archons, Las Vegas aliens. If you can look at the picture, even of this one here next to this one, they're very similar in the way they look. Even the head, the neck, the shoulders, the face. I mean, everything is extremely identical. How can you not, you know, see this for what it actually is, guys? You know, I put this up here for a reason, because it's something to think about. You know, it's something to just keep your mind open about, and just realize that, yeah, these things do exist. They're what I heard now is the family in Las Vegas is under house arrest of some sort. They're on lockdown. I don't know why exactly. Everybody's saying it's because people are accusing them of being a hoax. I don't think so. I think that in reality, if this is a ship that landed in their backyard, if it is in fact that, and these aliens came down and they were in the vicinity close to these aliens, that they would have to lock that place down. They would have to go and test it. They'd also have to put these people in isolation, you know, just in case any germs or things came from them. Now, there's a reason that I say that as well, because if you watch a lot of the videos that I make and I talk about, I always talk about these things. I've spoken about it from the very beginning, you know, from the onset, when everything was really big and there were not a lot of people talking about it at the time. I made sure to keep my mind focused on these things because they mean something to me. I really do believe that there is something to these things. This is not just an accident. There is something that we have to really investigate, look further into. The fact that it's already here and happening, you know, I mean, you're talking about right at the same time that this ominous blood moon and dark sun, like in the Bible in Acts 2:20. If you haven't seen it, look at Acts 2:20. You'll see it. It says it. You know, it talks about this. And these are all signs, supposedly, of when Christ comes back. And, you know, we really don't know exactly a lot about Christ because they only leave a little bit of information about Christ. There's a missing 18 years of Christ's life that nobody knows about. You know, what happened to those 18 missing years? You have to ask that question. The most prominent figure in the Bible, what happened in those 18 years? Where did this person go? What were they doing? Why did they disappear? You know? So that's something. But I'm going to show you guys something as well, why I say that they had to isolate these people. And I think it will make a difference into how you see this as well. Okay?
Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed. Complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population, and tell you what the alien agenda is.
We're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. Pandemic is not a word to use lightly or carelessly. It's a word that, if misused, can cause unreasonable fear, or unjustified acceptance that the fight is over, leading to unnecessary suffering and death.
Because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all. Because how do we not know that some of our diseases like AIDS, Ebola, hantavirus, and a few of these other weird designer diseases, as I call them, are not made from the cadavers of some of these aliens as a biological weapon to use against the people of these
coronavirus. So just really quick, guys, you know, what he's saying is very substantial in my eyes. It makes a lot of sense. And this is why I said what I said earlier, is that the reason that the Las Vegas family is being quarantined, he just used the words quarantine. If in fact something did come down to the planet, some other alien life, they would have to quarantine them, especially if anybody was close to the vicinity, anywhere close to the vicinity of these, either the spacecraft or the aliens, because of the, you know, the potential for a deadly virus. We don't know their biology. At least I don't think we do yet. They may have down ships with bodies, as David Grush has said. If that's the case, then they know the dangers and the potential dangers that we face, and they're not telling us a damn thing. Who's to say the vaccines that we got for the coronavirus aren't the vaccines that they give us to ensure the safety of their visitors that are coming here? And basically, most likely they have some. There is a topic that's being spoken. All right, guys.
People have to remember, 3 people saw this. Angel, his brother, I think, is a year younger than him, and his father. Angel called 911. The father got on 911 and said the same thing. I saw the creatures about 15, 20 minutes ago. And like I said, I'm an experienced investigator, full of 40 years investigative experience, and I did everything I could to see if I get Angel upset to the point where you say, you know, this is all made up. But 3 family members saw this. And I want to say something briefly. I know we're short on time here. But when I was out at the residence on the 27th, and they were showing me where these things were, where they believe they saw them, and I was standing against a metal pole that was holding up like a carport, and the father, and I'm just a little over 6 feet, about 6 feet, 6'1", and he said, that pole you're standing next to, it was taller than that pole. Now I'm about 6'1", I looked up, that pole was about 8.5 feet, and Angel said, yeah, it was even taller than that. Now,
so that's, you know, in the video that the still from the video that I took, that's accurate from what I saw and what my enhanced photo shows. But there's a new video circulating that doesn't show anything close to what I found. I don't know if this brings back the whole thing that when the family did disappear for a while, that they were probably coached and judged maybe, and also whatever, you know, nobody else did any photo enhancement. If you hadn't noticed this, it's weird.
They described what they described, and I tell people, I was not there that night, neither were you. I have nothing to discount what this family said. I mean, it's a nice family. They could have thrown me off the property. They're a very nice family. And, you know, to the point is this, okay? You have 3 people that said they saw a strange creature, and they described it. And people want evidence of that. Well, we don't have any evidence. He on that video that he showed on his YouTube channel, a lot of people are blowing things up. Even the Baltimore Post-Examiner blew up the picture. They were the first ones to show the photo of the impression on May 27th that Angel took that night when he said the police were in the backyard at 137. Baltimore Post-Examiner published the photograph. And then when I went back later on, Angel gave me the photograph of the 2 sergeants from the Northwest Area Command of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, who he said was about midnight on May 6th, who came back and talked to the father, because allegedly what he told me is the cop said the first 2 officers didn't do something right, okay? When I first met the family, it was on May 19th, and it was hard that day because they didn't trust me. That's when you saw...
Okay, that's interesting. You see them backing out right there? I just wanted to point that out. It's weird.
For that video clip that you just showed where he's talking to the female, he originally told me it was a journalist. And I didn't think it was a journalist, Ashley, because it was a speed dial, and journalists wouldn't pick up the phone. He told me,
he wouldn't tell you who
he
it
said,
was,
listen,
right?
Doug.
He didn't tell you who it was on the phone?
Excuse me?
Did he tell you who it was on the phone eventually?
So just really quick, you see when they got close where that spot is on the screen where they block things out? Because they blocked out the actual spot where the aliens were. If you look at the photo enhancement I did, I took a screenshot before that little thing got there. That thing that blocks the screen, and I enhanced that, and that's what I got. So there's no way to refute that. You know, I made sure to take the screenshot before that what do you call it, blocker or whatever the hell it is, you know, a distortion on the screen appeared. And they do that purposely to basically block out what's there. You know, it's just sickening. Actually, you know, we'd all love to know and see.
Yes, it was the female detective who came out with the family. There was a male and female after this incident, like days later, who came out and talked to them. After the first two officers were out there the morning of May 1st, two patrol, and you all saw the video on that, the body cam video and all that. Okay, the mother told me when I was there on May 19th that after the first.
Okay, right about there, look.
First two officers came up. A couple days later, two more cops came. And I believe she's talking about the LVMPD sergeants that I posted the picture on.
Okay, let me get to that, because I only have about 30 seconds left, but I need you to tell me about the photograph you took of what looked like cameras installed on the roof of the home, and those came, what, 2 weeks after the incident, and then suddenly were gone a few days later. Is that the right story? And again, I'm a bit tight for time.
They were installed on May 19th in a lamppost in the rear yard of the family's home. They were installed by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Homeland Security Division, that's run by Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin. The cameras were there when I saw them on May 19th, and they were pulled out 3 days before May 27th when I went back. And I have that confirmed from the family, and my police sources said those were definitely installed by the technical and surveillance squad that works for Homeland Security under the direction of Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin, and they pulled them. Now, I want to say something real quick. I know we're short on time here, okay? They pull those around 3 days before May 27th. That was the second podcast that I aired when I exposed those cameras, okay? Now, there's talk. The parents, I said, why did they put them in there? They said, they came to the house and said, we got permission from the owner. We want to put this on your property. Can we? It's for your protection in case people come. But you got to remember something, okay? This thing didn't go viral to June 7th. The cameras were uninstalled 3 days prior to May 27th.
Well, that's odd, Doug, because obviously, if it goes viral, then I can understand harassment cameras. But before most people even knew about this family or this young man, I wouldn't imagine that no other harassment complaints.
So there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. I mean, why would I guess maybe Department of Defense or military or whoever it was that put the cameras there, put it before the actual date, like as if also like they knew something ahead of time. You know, I mean, you have to ask yourself that question. Unless this was an elaborate propaganda hoax of some sort for the government to do something worse and the families involved. That's the only other thing I can think of, you know, and they can coax anybody into doing whatever, they can coerce anybody into doing whatever they want. I mean, it's been proven if they can, you know, do a lot of things that they've done here in this country, you know, coercing a family isn't that hard.
Let's get cameras like that. Doug, I have to cut it there, but the conversation's not over. I hope you'll come back.
Yes, because there's a lot more. One thing real quick. Don't discount that ring camera that was not in the neighborhood of the house. That was somewhere else on another part of town. That's also being across social media. Okay. And I cannot verify that where that location was. It definitely wasn't across the street from the home.
Okay, so it was another neighborhood, and we're still on verification and fact-checking on that.
That's right. I have no idea where that was. It could have been on the other side of Vegas.
He's continuing to investigate this. He's been on it since the beginning.
Wow, guys, this is just... you know, it's been about 8 days now since they did anything, since they showed any footage or spoke to anyone about this, it's kind of gone on hush hush now, and you try to figure out like why everything all of a sudden now nobody's talking about it. Like what's going on here. I really feel that there's something that they're hiding, or something that they're planning, or both, a combination of both. Because you can never trust what the government says anymore. First they admit, yeah, there's aliens and all these things, and now all of a sudden you have this whole thing that popped up overnight. You had the interference with, I guess, I'm thinking military, interference of some sort, or Homeland Security, or whatever the hell it may be. And it's just getting more and more messy. In other words, when things get more and more messy, that means that there is definitely something that they're actually, hiding. Definitely something. And I want to find out and get to the bottom of it. But guys, I'm definitely going to put some more videos up soon. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please go back and take a look at them. I am the Spiritual Philanthropist. Wandering Avatars is my channel, or the Spiritual Philanthropist. You'll find it in either one. All right, guys. See you soon. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, TSPRavshiva. So I've been doing some research here. I wanted to talk about this congresswoman it's a congresswoman. I mean, so you got to take that seriously. Her reputation is really on the line here, but I want you guys to listen to what she has to say. I find this very interesting, actually.
What does that term, is this something that bends time and space? What are you getting at?
I think that Grush, when I had talked to him on whether these were specifically extraterrestrials or alien in origin, he said interdimensional. He refused to use certain terms, and I think that's incredibly important, because I think that that's really the question we're all wanting to know, right? And so I'm actually going to have a sit-down conversation with him and ask him to come back and talk to us directly, because it seems that we are getting more information from the source than going into a skiff and then not being able to tell you guys what.
Is this?
So, guys, it's interesting what she has to say. She's talking about, I believe his name is David Grish or something like this. I have to find out, but he testified in Congress, and he was one that worked, I believe, in the intelligence agency. I'm not sure exactly. I'm pretty sure it was in the military, actually. I have to look up his credentials again. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will.
Did mention anything?
So, you know what really gets me is that he's a very high-ranking official himself, and so is the congresswoman. And there's more and more people like this coming out every single day, and I don't know how much people understand about the world around us and the environment that we live in. And to understand it really in depth is one of the reasons I started studying physics at Arizona State University. I had to transfer. I was at City Tech, but then I had my some injuries I had to deal with for a while. I got right back in. I got at a great school that's highly ranked in physics up there with Caltech, and MIT has some big laureates there that still give lectures and stuff there. But I did that purposely to understand all these, what they call either abstract or interdimensional, whatever the word is that you want to call it. Some people use lesser forms of expressions or adjectives when they talk about these things, and when I say lesser, I mean in a derogatory manner. So I try not to do that, because that's, I believe that if you try to understand something on a level, not just from, faith-based, but going into the scientific realm as well. And that's why I think studying physics is extremely important. Some people have actual experiences, like myself. I've also had that as a child. So that experience I had as a kid makes me want to understand this on many different levels. So this is very exciting for people like me and other people around the world. And those of you who are naysayers, or whatever the case may be, skeptics, look, I don't mind a healthy debate or discussion, but when people start to become condescending and derogatory in their remarks, I really don't appreciate it. That's like the person that's always negative and always has negative things to say if you don't see their way, and that's called being opinionated. And nobody wants to be around people that have this attitude. I don't, so I try not to be either. I do have a sense of humor, however. I love to laugh and joke. That may be misinterpreted as demeaning in some way to some people, but you know what? F them. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's get back to this.
Spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft for decades. He's filed a whistleblower complaint saying he gave what he calls the classified proof to Congress and the Intelligence Community Inspector General. News Nation has confirmed David Grush's credentials and resume. We've not seen or verified the alleged proof he says he's provided to investigators. He says he can't.
Okay, so just kind of looking over it there was no kind of terminology
read into.
So everything that you're hearing right now is extremely fascinating to me, because this guy, like I said, and that congresswoman are both, these people are both putting their reputation on the line, guys, and that's a lot to do. There's so many different aspects of this that we can look at. It could be, like he said, all a ruse. It could be some psychological, some psyop, tactic that they're using for the public. God knows what this really is, but all you have to do is you have to think like this as well, is that if they're broadcasting this on a medium that goes around the globe, the entire world, it has to be important, because the only other thing that they do, that they broadcast, is anything that makes money. How much money are these guys making for doing this? And weigh the reputation of everything that worked for, in their lives, being a congresswoman, being an official in the United States Air Force, and working for the military intelligence. You have to ask yourself, what's really going on here? If you don't understand the implications involved, that's okay. Given time, I think everybody's going to sort of understand that in some form or another. It may not be to the level where some of us are, like Jeremy Corbell. He's renowned now for doing UFO research and getting people like Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was one of the first whistleblowers. I remember that as a kid in the 80s. I remember being on my street in Houston, Texas with my friends, and hearing this news, and hey, is this real? Is this guy for real? And he was right there, I believe, right in Houston as well. And it was so fascinating when I first heard Bob Lazar speak,
And, you know, this is going back, you know, in 1984, 85, or somewhere around there. And, you know, this is before the internet, so all we had really was the news to rely on. And, you know, I guess, you know, there's some things that are just very hard to believe, you know, but there were some interesting things that Bob Lazar spoke of, which I find fascinating as well, because he spoke about the element 115, which we find out is actually something real. I mean, that has to blow your mind in some way. Well, here, you know, here we are with Jeremy Corbell. He's being interviewed by Larry King. He's sitting right next to Jeremy Corbell, and, you know, you have the conversation that I've heard since I was a kid. That's happening right now when we have more technology and we have the internet, you know, and this is just fascinating. And it's for people like me that grew up when this guy came out, Bob Lazar, this just blows my mind. Let's hear what they have to say.
Element 115.
Element 115 is a super heavy element. It's something that we only just recently synthesized. We only made 4 atoms of it, but the craft uses larger quantities of it, 223 gram little triangles of it. But it's a unique element. When it's exposed to radiation, it produces its own gravitational field, its own anti-gravitational field, and it's what's used to lift and propel the craft and create distortions around it. It's an amazing material, and it's certainly nothing that occurs here or naturally.
And it can be weaponized, and that's kind of the issue here. If this story is all true, that can be weaponized.
Absolutely.
Never miss a beat. Subscribe to Larry King now and watch new episodes.
Guys, this blows my mind. I don't know if you know that Bob Lazar himself is a scientist. That's why he was originally hired to work in Area 51. Now, I believe everything that he's saying, because when he came out, he was frantic. I mean, you could see that everything, you know, that he was just not sure what to do, if he was going to live. He went through this whole phase that he kind of just lost his mind, and I can relate with that idea as well. But, you know, it's you know, great seeing him now, decades later. And they do have an element 115. It's either he predicted it or he was actually working on it back then. One of the two. Okay? One of the two has to be true because we have it today. Now he's talking about it being weaponized. And we know that whatever government has it, most likely it's the United States government he worked for in Area 51. But they were the ones that were able to, I guess, reverse engineer this vehicle, this alien vehicle, alien spacecraft, and to bring that out, you know, for him, Bob Lazar, to take the chance to bring that out to the public and say, hey, look, we're being lied to, this is what's going on. And, you know, it reminds me a lot of what Edward Snowden did most recently. And kind of like, you know, he is a whistleblower, but some people here that are very patriotic kind of lose the idea of the people being exploited, and they have what I call the slave mentality. It's kind of like what Malcolm X said about house Negroes, you know. And I think that this is what he's talking about. Is like, you know, he's saying, hey, people, listen, you're being exploited by the government. This is what's going on. And it has nothing to do with, I don't know anybody in the government personally. I don't know if they're good or bad people. I don't know if their job is to keep us in the dark. I don't know, but I would love to be in the know like everyone else. Say, hey, look, if there are other beings out there, why not? Why not tell us and let us know? You know, because every time the government hides something, that means there's always something more sinister behind it. They've had a history of doing this. You know, like as they stated before, there were so many things that you could look back and say that were horrific. And when I say horrific, I mean, you know, exactly that word. I mean, it's terrifying, some of the things that they've discovered over the years. And what these people, the power that they have is just disgusting at this point. And, you know, it reminds me of the 1984 George Orwell. You know, this guy was brilliant by mapping this down and speaking about it. And if you guys haven't heard of Noam Chomsky, I don't know if he believes in UFOs or not, but the guy is, you know, a brilliant man. He was able to, I believe he was a speech pathologist, and he was able to really break down a lot of the things that the expressions in what the United States media uses in order to keep people in the dark as well. So he was able to basically read between the lines, guys. That's basically what Noam Chomsky did. If you don't know who Noam Chomsky is, you guys gotta look him up and try and put these things together. You know, I don't believe that all these people are bad people. I believe that they instinctively wanted to help everyone else to say, hey, look what's going on, check this out. And even if they, you know, I forgive all people because we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. Everyone is. Those people who want to be judge, jury, and executioner, those are the people that are the most dangerous on the planet. You know, once they get to the point of wanting to commit violence, you have to be aware of them. And there are a lot of them out there. They're the ones that formed this government. It's the government that had that power. Why do they have such, you know, why are we in such odds with so many other countries out there? It's not because those countries are bad, and you know, it's just that people are greedy, and that's what it comes down to. So now we have something so grand, you know, so mysterious, so mind-boggling, so intriguing in so many different ways that you would expect that. Why would you have to whistleblow when they could just say, hey, look, we've got this technology and it's out there. It means that there are other beings that live amongst us, that in the stars or here on Earth. They've been visiting for thousands of years, just like they're saying ancient aliens. And maybe we have ancient alien DNA inside of us. There's a lot of DNA that's unaccounted for, you know? So this gives credibility to so many different things in my mind. But guys, I'll be making more videos in the future, so please hit that like button and subscribe, because I have not hit 500 subscribers yet. I'm without work. There's a story behind why I'm without work, and it's part of the reason why I can appreciate Bob Lazar, Edward Snowden, even Jeremy Corbell, and Mr. Griff, you know, the Air Force military intelligence guy that was just there, and that congresswoman, I forgot her name now, but there's so many people that I can respect because they're putting their reputation on the line. And if you have never had anything taken away from you in life like I have, and many others, like in Bob Lazar's case, his life got turned upside down by the government. I know what that feels like in some ways. You know, when a group of powerful people want to harm you or anyone else, they can do it. You know, this is the name of the game that they play. But I do believe in God. I do believe there's a higher power, and I'm not going to throw a label on God either. I just believe that there is a supreme force that I call God. I believe that God is one in many. I mean, and if it is God, that means the entire creation is God, is what I'm saying. But guys, I'll break that down even further in another video. But I hope that you really appreciate the work that I do. And please hit that like and subscribe button. That will help me eventually, at my age of 53, for the last 20 years. I'll give you a little hint of some of the bullshit I had to go through. After 9/11, I had to suffer for no reason at all. And it's just, you know, it's been a real burden, of, you know, a cross on my back, you know, like I had to bear that weight. But I understand, and I hope that you guys will help support me in my endeavors. And this is also going to help me to get my degree in physics. You know, I've been very sick, and I'll do a video on that at some point, what has happened to me in the last 20 years. You guys might want to know about this, but you'll see all the types of exploitation and different things that people with power can do to a person. But I'm a strong individual, and God made me this way. And I plan on doing a lot more great, wonderful stuff, guys. So hang in there. I'll see you in the next video. And like I said, please hit that like and subscribe button. And watch out for my next video.
The Archons cannot create. They can only imitate and distort. Their aim is control of the mind, of perception, of belief. They operate through fear, division, illusion, and inversion. Their influence is subtle yet pervasive, manifesting in the systems we live under: corrupted governments, soulless technologies, consumerism, war, synthetic food, disconnection from nature, and the suppression of sacred knowledge. Through these means, the Archons drain prana, turning humanity into an unconscious energy source. But their power is not absolute. It depends entirely on human forgetfulness, on our disconnection from the self, from source, from the deep inner flame of spiritual sovereignty. To reclaim our inner world is to render the Archons powerless. This is where the ancient path of yoga becomes a weapon, not of violence, but of liberation. True yoga is not just physical postures, it is the realignment of our entire being with the supreme reality. Through asana we purify the body, through pranayama we reclaim the breath, through meditation we still the mind, and through mantra we wield sacred sound to cut through illusion. Mantras are vibrational codes. When chanted with devotion and awareness, they shatter the energetic webs that the Archons use to entangle our consciousness. The repetition of sacred syllables like Om Namah Shivaya, Gayatri, or Ram recalibrates our inner frequency, re-establishing our link with the divine intelligence that resides beyond the reach of archonic distortion. Awareness is protection. Stillness is armor. Mantra is a sword. Truth is the ultimate rebellion. By turning inward, remembering who we are, not as cogs in a system, but as eternal sparks of consciousness, we dismantle the architecture of control. We step outside the simulation. We become sovereign once more. The Archons cannot enslave a being who knows their self. That is the greatest secret.